Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is the Hackers Guild. The Hackers Guild is a semi-co-op game in which there's one team, and I shouldn't say semi-co-op, I guess. I consider the one versus all a semi-co-op game, basically because you have a group of players that are going to be working together and trying to be a good team, trying to defeat this omnipresent, like, bad overlord type player. One of my favorite games, well, actually, now technically they have an app for it, but I really enjoy Descent. I really enjoy being like the Overlord, and that's kind of like my go-to game for that, like, a bunch versus one type of game. Well, that and Fury of Dracula, though the old school one. But regardless, anyway, so the Hackers Guild kind of builds off of the shoulders of those giants of types of games, where you have a group of hackers that are working together to try to defeat this giant evil corporation that is actually trying to, like, put robots in charge, like, think Skynet, robots or like artificial intelligence in charge of controlling the world. But actually, no, it is like a horrible conspiracy that is looking to just enslave all of humanity. So obviously you're working against that as one of the hackers, or you're being the evil person who wants to enslave humanity, which is always excellent fun to be. So let's show you how to play Hackers Guild. It is predominantly an like worker placement slash dice rolling game. And so I knew I was going to like it. But regardless, let me show you how to play the game, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you more about this one. All right, cool. This is the Hackers Guild. I've gone ahead and set it up for the full 5-player experience. That is 4 players working cooperatively against one person who is actually taking on the role of the evil multinational global corporation that's trying to take over the world. Of course it is, because they're evil. But anyway, regardless, each person is going to get a character they're going to play. I've chosen the Gambler. That's the person I tended to play more than any of the other ones when I played the game. I just kind of dug the special powers. I'll explain that in just a little bit. But each player will take one of these player boards, and then they will use this to represent them as they're playing. Each one has the status of their their laptop. I mean, technically, it's kind of a neat thing. Each person has like this super awesome hacking laptop, and it's represented by these 3 bars here. You just take your player color, and then you just put, at the beginning, you're going to put a cube in each one of these locations to show that. And as the game progresses, you will be able to upgrade that so you can have more power and more abilities. The CPU level determines how many dice you get to roll as a base when you're going to be doing hacking. The RAM determines the types of tools, like how powerful of hacking tools you can purchase from the tool deck, which is over there. And then the hard drive here, as you can probably guess, because you're probably watching this on a computer, the hard drive determines how many tools you can actually have attached to your computer. So the more of these, the more tools you can have, 1 per location. Now it's kind of neat, like the Gambler has like a 3 on the CPU, and then 1 RAM and 1 hard drive. And so you can see here, like, the Computer Geek has a pretty good starting computer. The Charismatic Leader, not so much. Traveling Salesman, and so forth. But check this out. That is the Trust Fund Baby. Kind of a neat little character, and I've kind of shown that we're using the Trust Fund Baby here in this particular game. You'll notice the Trust Fund Baby starts with maxed out computer here, because they're the Trust Fund Baby. They have tons of money, so obviously they've already spent all that money on a really nice computer prior to the game beginning. And their special ability is that if they use their workers, they basically put their workers on their player board when they're doing their turns. For each one, they get extra credits, extra money that they're going to be able to use to spend on, like, actually, and then the money is communal. Notice how there's 2,000 out there right now, and that is communal money that anybody can use. But they put more money into it, and that's actually a pretty good power for when you're playing. Now you'll also notice that all these hacking, like this notoriety level here, is at a 0 for everybody, but the Trust Fund Baby's at a 7. That's kind of to balance out the fact that they're starting out so good. Notoriety is important. I'm kind of jumping up ahead here a little bit, but as you probably guess, the hacking notoriety kind of determines, like, how much of a threat you're seen as being. Now, I'm going to talk about hacking a little bit, and that's like the big part of the game, the big mechanism of the game is the hacking and the dice rolling and the the players rolling the dice versus the global corporation, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But one of the big things is that like when you reach level 10 with your hacking notoriety, your ability to really hack well is severely debilitated. Basically, when you hack into whether it is one of the main objectives, which are up here, I'll talk about that also in just a little bit, or one of your funding targets, which is that deck right there. Also talk about that in just a little bit. Normally there's 4 levels that you can go for, and like to get bigger and better rewards. But when you reach level 10 in your notoriety, with the funding targets, you can only do a level 1 like hack. So it's you can't really get much out of it. Now you can get this reduced by getting when you earn hacking cred over here. As you earn hacking cred by successfully hacking different targets or different objectives up there, the players will earn hacking cred, and then you are able to actually spend that as in a ratio of 2 hacking cred per level and reduce the amount of notoriety somebody has. Now, an interesting thing is that the hacking cred is kind of kept track of communally as like a group. So like if one person earns 4, one person earns 3, and another person earns 4, another person earns 2. 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 is 13, I believe. Yes. So that would be a total hacking credit of 13. And when you reach every level of 10 that you reach of hacking cred increases everybody's notoriety by 1. You're getting credentials. You're in that, the deep web or whatever, and you're getting a name for yourself. Something to think about as you play. I'm kind of jumping around here. I do apologize, but the game is a game that lasts a certain number of rounds. Normal game lasts till 8 rounds. There are different levels of difficulty that you can play, so you can have a game last longer, up to 10. If you aren't able to defeat the objectives, which are up here, by the time the last round is done, then you have failed, and the global corporation has succeeded in their nefarious plan of taking over the entire world. Also, I should mention that when you get to level 15 in notoriety, 2 things happen. One, your super awesome laptop is confiscated and you can't get it back. It's gone forever. And but you get basically a like a Best Buy laptop you go and buy, and it has a level 2 for all of its abilities, and you can't really upgrade it because it's just not a really good laptop. So that's something bad. You don't want to hit 15 notoriety. If the entire team, every single one of you, gets up to 15 notoriety, you are considered to be arrested, you are raided, and you are sent to prison, and you languish there and can do nothing while the corporation then puts its machinations into play, and you are helpless to stop them from taking over the world. All right, so as I said, each person is going to get one of these cards. They're going to get 4 workers. Technically, they're not workers. This isn't like a worker placement game where you're sending up somebody to work in the fields or work in the mines or go fishing or whatever. They're just more action pawns, but you're just taking spots on the board to denote what actions you want to take. Now, so here is what happens is that each person, and you technically, you're supposed to do this one by one, but this is a cooperative game where you're all going to be working against trying to defeat the big bad corporation. So you are going to discuss, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to do this action, you're going to do that action, let's do this, that, and the other thing. And then after everybody's placed all of their workers out into the different locations to take actions, you then resolve those actions in whatever order you want. It isn't something like, okay, player 1 resolves one, player 2 resolves one, so on and so forth. It is something where each person is going to resolve them how they will. So like, if the trust fund baby put like 3 workers on their player board so they can get an extra 1,500 credits, she would do that immediately, theoretically, and add 1,500 credits. So like she'd do that, and there we have 1,500 more credits at our disposal to do what we will with in this particular turn. She wouldn't wait until the end of her turn to do that. since you can earn more money by going after these targets in here and hacking them, maybe you would take a hacking action if you went over to perform a hack, and you do that particular action prior to you resolving, or anybody for that matter, resolving and upgrading your computer and purchasing more equipment for your computer, because you have to earn that money to be able to do that. So there's those things going on. And also, for that matter, purchasing tools. But I'm going to do the performing hacking thing last. But the different actions that you can do are, like, you can, if you put a worker here, you can purchase hacking tools. There's 4 available at any given time, and they just give you a certain ability and power. So, like this one it costs you 500 credits. And it is a spam campaign. It has a level 1, so your RAM has to be a level 1, or and so then I could use this as the gambler. And it says, while installed, this tool enables the hacker to split one die into 2 numbers, where their sum is equal to the original die result once per hack attempt. And so, like, that's if when you're rolling a die, what happens? Like, if you get a 4, but let's say I needed 2 2s, I could say I'm going to use that ability to go ahead, and I turn those into 2 2s, just like that. And so but it gives me that ability. It's that hacking tool that I have access to. As you can probably guess, this is a sliding group of tools that you have. At the end of the turn, whatever tool is, like, furthest down to the bottom, it is discarded, and then you draw another one. So you do cycle through those. If you ever run out of tools, you will shuffle up the discard pile and just start them over. You can probably, pretty standard as far as these types of games go. Upgrading computers, basically to go to a level 2, you can see right here it's 800. To go to level 3, it's 1,000. Level 4, it's 1,200. Level 5, it's 1,500. You can purchase multiple levels, but you have to pay for each one. So if you wanted to go, if you had a level 1, say, like, I wanted to increase my RAM to level 3, it would cost me 800, and 1,000 would cost me 1,800, and that would be credits taken out of the middle. Now, obviously, there's nothing stopping a player from, like, going against what the rest of the group thinks that they should do, but especially when your resources, as far as your money goes, that's a decision that you and the other players are going to discuss and talk about and determine what's the best thing to do, what's the best thing to spend your money on in this particular turn. Then finally, we finally get to the point we're performing hack. Okay, so obviously you have 4 workers. Oh, actually no. So one last thing. So the gambler, his special ability is that during a hack he can reroll one of his die at one time during a hack. He has the ability to give these tokens for every action. He gets access to these tokens, 1 for each worker that he puts on his board, where he can then use this to reroll 1 die again. So he could reroll 2, or he could hand this to somebody else doing a hack to give them more, better chance. You can give them that ability. So that's just, his special ability as far as that goes. All right, so performing a hack. It is really, really straightforward. If you're going to go after one of these big objectives, that is something where each person is going to have put a worker on perform hack over here. The reason for that is because when you're going after one of these major objectives, each person has to do one of the 4 things that the objective is going for. So, like, the very first one here is the Monolith Global Incorporated's offsite backups. You have to have a minimum of 5 dice access to, and then also you have to have a minimum of 14 hacking cred to attempt this one. And so then you go through all these things, and this is the way hacking works. So sum of all applicable dice is less than 15. So you roll 5 dice, and then you have to get 15 or less. But this is how it works. So you're going to take your 5 dice, and then you roll. So let's see what I get here. So I would have got 5, 6. Yeah, actually, I did really well right away from the get-go. So that's actually pretty awesome. So, but also, the thing is that you can have certain things that are going to increase the number of dice you have. So, like, let's say, I had, more dice. Okay, there. So I have like a 6, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 2, 1, and 1. Now, what you're going to do then is you're going to lock dice. And so, like, you would say, okay, I'm going to, lock these dice, because, and then I can roll again. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to achieve the goal that is on there. and then I roll the dice again, and then then I can lock more dice. But the thing is, I have to lock at least one die while I'm doing that. So I can't just re-roll all the dice. I could use my special power to re-roll one, but I have to always lock one die when I'm doing them. Now, at the same time, with these objectives up here, the network person is going to be rolling those dice as well, and then when they roll them, they're going to be doing the same thing. And if they can achieve the goal faster than the player can, then they actually beat them to that's them working against them, working in the web security, if you will, the internet, if you will. I'm not a hacker. I don't know what the words are. But so if they beat them, and these play slightly differently than these, so I'm just going to explain how these work, and then I'll talk about those. But if they succeed in the level, so like let's say we did this, and I said, Craig, you do the first one, and then my buddy Jason was running the network and being the bad guy. He would then defeat Craig, and then we'd all lose, and we would gain notoriety, and there'd be all sorts of bad things. However, if Craig had the presence of mind of putting 2 workers on there, he can then try again. He can say, okay, let's go and let's do it again. Now, if he beats Jason, then we would go to level 2. And so, like, this one was all applicable dice are odd. So once again, so like, my friend Andy, if he had 6 dice to his name, he's got to look for getting, 5 of these odd. He'd roll, and, he'd do it right away. Awesome. So, like, and so then he'd succeed. Then we go to the next one, and we go to the next one. If you can complete all 4, then you would just go ahead and you flip it over to show that you've defeated it, and then you could then possibly go on to the next one. If you had more, like, if Craig hadn't done another one, then we had all put all our workers on there. We could have tried for another major one that time, but probably aren't going to, and then maybe we just relax and we're going to go after it another turn. All right, so the other ones that you can go for are these, which are for funding. And the difference between these is that only one person goes for it. So on your turn, like, you turn this over, here's a Trojan nuclear power plant. You have to have at least 3 dice, and if you would earn hacking cred per level that you succeed at, and then also by definition, if you fail, you earn notoriety equal to the level you got to when you failed. So you start off with all applicable dice are less than 4. So if I only had 3 dice, say it's the very beginning, and I only have 3 dice, I'm going to go ahead and roll those 3 dice. And so here I have, I can lock those 2, but now I'm going to roll this die, and I'm going to hope I get a one that is less than 4. And let's just see if I get lucky. No, of course not. So I'd fail, and I would actually then, get notoriety because I was stopped. Now, the difference here is that that when the player that is running the network, the bad guy, he actually starts in the bottom and works his way to the top. And I should mention that the person that is running the corporation, they get what the minimum dice is, 3 plus 2. That's what they get access to. And so then they get 5. And so they have to have a run of 3, and all applicable dice are less than 4. So it's a little bit more difficult, right? And so, so if I had succeeded in this one, I would have earned 250 credits. I would have earned one hacker cred, and I'd be sitting pretty good. But now, if I wanted to, I could restart, and I could go for level 2. I could, so and let's just say I had 4 dice. And so I'm going to push my luck. I'm going to go for level 2. So I got 2 5s, and then what I got to do is I just got to get 1 5 left here. So I roll, and there, bam, I got it. Now, so now if I wanted to, I've earned 500 credits. I've earned 2 hacker cred because of the level I've done. And now I can say 3 of a kind, and all applicable dice are even. Do I want to try for that? That's tough. Maybe I don't want to shoot for that because I only have 4 dice. So I could say I'm done. I'm just going to take my earnings, and I'm over with it. However, if I go for all 4 and I get all 4 and I beat the network person, basically they don't go all the way back up to the top, but quicker than I do. I can then take this, and I have everybody starts off with this, and everybody has this a malware to install bot control software. And so what you can do then is that you can take this and you install it into your botnet for the group. And what this does is it gives somebody, or you or somebody else in your team, an extra die when they attempt to run it. And each person has the ability to do this. So what you're going to be doing sometimes, or a lot of times, when you're getting prepped to go after something big, one or more players will go after one of these funding targets first to get that extra die, that extra ability. And then going after the big, the big chance, like they're trying to defeat the game type of chance. So that in a nutshell is what the players do. Now, while this happens, the network player doesn't just sit there. I mean, they don't have any workers they're putting on or anything like that, but they do have options. They have their own deck of cards. The network administrator does, and on the beginning of their turn, what they're going to do is they're gonna collect 3 resources, which are called CAD, and they collect these, and so they collect, and these compile over time. They're going to collect these 3 things, and these are different cards they can use to mess with the players. So like this card may be played at the start of the round and adds an odd number to the first level of dice requirements for an objective hack attempt at this turn. So it just increases things. Power items. This card played prior to the hackers resolving their actions and prevents the hackers from performing any hacks this round. This one's huge, obviously. Spotty internet connection. I know that. This card may be played at any time during the hacker's hack attempt and forces them to reroll 1 die of the network administrator's choice. So these cost CAD, like your resources, equal to that amount. So 10, 15, and 20. So obviously these cost a lot, and you're saying, well, how is it even possible that you're earning that? Well, as the system administrator, what you can do is you can discard these for half their value. So I could discard this one and this one for the round up, so 8 and 5. So I get 13, add to that 16. So I wouldn't be able to use my power outage yet, but I could discard both of these cards, take more CAD, and then the next turn happens, I draw 3 more cards, and then theoretically I'd have access to more enough to like use something big like this power outage. Maybe I won't do that. Maybe I would just hold on to some of the smaller ones. But you have you discard them to earn them, and also you have a maximum of 3 cards in your hand at any time. And when you are forced to discard down to 3, you earn the CAD for that as well. So, and the network administrator, most of their cards seem to be like an interrupt type of thing, that you get to you use at different things, but you just follow the card, and it tells you when you're able to use that particular power, that particular ability. So, and that's how you play as the bad guy, if you will. Now, so there you go. I mean, that is in a nutshell the Hackers Guild. It is a very, very challenging game. Like I said, the best part about this game is the confrontation. It is the people rolling the dice against each other. I was a little worried at first. I thought maybe you were going to be rolling dice like at the same time. I really dislike games where everybody's rolling dice as fast as you can. Well, I shouldn't say I dislike them. Some of them are excellent, but some of them, anyway. The fact of the matter is that each one, when you're rolling the dice, it's a very strategic, very tactical thing. So I really enjoyed that part of it, because like you're kind of like trying to decide which dice you're going to set aside, especially since like a lot of times you'll have like 8 dice or something that you're rolling, but you only need 4. So like you'll lock bad dice away, even though they're not really helping you, just because of the fact that like you want to like keep rolling other ones. I mean, it's one of those things where the choices you make can sometimes be very difficult, especially when you're looking at the network player. and you're seeing they're doing better than you, so you start having to like gamble and start pushing your luck a little quicker, and like and that's when you get that really great roll and like the entire table cheers, and the person playing the horrible evil corporation uh, gets angry and pounds the table, which is lots of fun, especially with my friend Jason. So anyway, that is the Hackers Guild. Why don't we go ahead to my final thoughts, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Yeah, the cool thing is this is like, well, I shouldn't say the second, but this is like the second or third game recently that's come out of Canada, from a Canadian designer that contacted me about doing this and then contracted me to do it. That I've really enjoyed. So maybe it's like the Canada. They're just like this new hotbed of designers or whatever. I do know like my good friend Daryl up there and Sen, both Canadian, if you will. So I mean, obviously there's a repertoire of that. So cool. I think it's cool that it comes from Canada since I'm so close to Canada. But anyway, regardless, Hackers Guild. So yeah, I'm gonna just diverse because I always do that, or I tend to. When I played this game, actually, it reminded me a lot of the times when I played, and I still play, the Shadowrun role playing game. Shadowrun is, I should say, a role playing game that is set in a kind of fantastic future where there is the big giant neural web type of thing, and one of the big character classes you can play in that game is called a decker, and like a decker, like your deck is your CPU, is your super awesome laptop, if you will. And so playing as a decker in that world, that genre, was a lot of fun because you actually had to like have all these different programs and all these different abilities that allowed you to delve into all of these different networks and different systems and what have you, and to glean information to like shut down like streetlights or transfer money illegally or all kinds of crazy things like that. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And so I liked that theme. And so like when I was playing this game, it just kind of appealed to me. I mean, there's been a lot of really bad movies, and there's been a lot of really bad representation of what hackers are, I guess. And technically, like I said, I'm not a hacker. I don't know anything about it. But I mean, with the stuff I've read about like real hackers, I mean, first of all, it doesn't sound very glamorous. I mean, but it also it seems to be nothing like we're trying to represent in like pop culture or anything like that. But regardless, the whole idea of it and the whole idea of like digging for information and like working actively against like evil corporations and what have you is very interesting, and it is fairly prominent in the news today. So all that aside, yes, the theme is awesome. It's really fun. Is the game fun? Is the game cool? Yeah, it is. I mean, I knew what I was going to say. Worker placement. I love worker placement. Dice rolling. I really like dice rolling. When I run into games that marriage those two mechanisms, I almost always enjoy them. And I can't. I mean, there's been a few, and but for the most part, I just really enjoy that whole aspect. I enjoyed the whole. I'll fully admit I did enjoy playing the hacker more, just because I kind of like enjoyed the idea of like building up my my computer and like working with everybody and having everybody together. But there was something really cool about being the evil person too, and just kind of sitting there and watching them, because you don't really, they don't go into another room and have their discussion about what they want to do. They do it in front of you. They put their plans forth, and like you're sitting on these different cards or whatever, building up your resources to be able to play them. You're just waiting for that moment to just ruin it for them. And I really, I enjoyed that part of it. I enjoyed just, going against them with the dice, too. I mean, my friends say that I am the luckiest person in the world when it comes to dice. They always fail me when I really need them, but I will fully admit that it seems to me that dice seem to pop and land the way they should for me, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But I am undefeated as the evil person playing this game, and so I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the whole idea of the robots are taking over, that sort of thing, and that's definitely one of the things too about it is like if you let the theme kind of take you for the ride for the story that this game's going to give you, I think you're going to really enjoy it. I mean, if you're just looking for a solid fun game that is worker placement and dice, you're going to love this one. If you love the whole hacking theme, I think you're going to love it even more. So there you go. That is the Hackers Guild. If you have any questions about it, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. Thanks as always for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.